Hello, welcome to the channel. Let's go to today's story. My 23-year-old partner is blaming me, a 21-year-old man, for not preventing her from going home with another guy. I'm at a crossroads on what to do. My girlfriend of 4 years and some friends went clubbing a few days ago. While it wasn't an intense night, she got pretty drunk halfway through the night. She approached me outside, after being gone for a while, holding hands with an older man. She stated that she was going to the bathroom with him, and they both came back about 5 minutes later. She ignored all my attempts to persuade her to come with me. They both had their phones on, as if they were exchanging numbers, and she categorically refused to come home with me. When I finally got her attention, I told her to go away, so I went home alone. I checked her location when I got home and found that she was at someone else's house, in a completely different part of town, in a place unknown to both of us. The next day I found out that it was the same guy's house, but she claimed that she left immediately and that nothing happened between them, also saying that she didn't remember most of the night. She was profusely apologetic and was crying into the phone, worried about losing me. However, when we got together to talk, she suggested that I should have forced her to go with me and that it was my fault for damaging our relationship by allowing this to happen. Now I'm in doubt if I ended it wrong and if I should have stopped her action. She has also made threats of self-harm, and I am torn about telling her parents. The first sign to break up with her was when she appeared holding another guy's hand, then disappeared for a while and came back from the bathroom with him, alone. How many times she cheated during that night, God only knows. If she's cold and indifferent about it, I'm pretty sure she's cheated, and it's not the first time. They've been together for years, and this behavior doesn't seem normal, especially when she's drunk. It may be that the boy influenced her behavior with drinks. If the genders were reversed, I would say the same. Alcoholic drinks shouldn't make her cheat on her boyfriend and tell him she was going to the bathroom with another man while they're holding hands. She didn't want to go home with me, her boyfriend of 4 years, but she was willing to go out with a stranger. Now she is blaming me for her bad decisions and claiming that I am to blame for compromising our relationship. She is using this situation to escape her actions. If I had forced the situation, there would have been a different drama. She would be accusing me of being abusive and controlling. She is trying to manipulate the situation to her advantage. There is no salvation in this situation. It's best to wrap this up and leave before she causes any more trouble. Honestly, I would never allow my partner to date a stranger under any circumstances. If something bad had happened, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself. Now, upon reflection, I realize that she is my ex. I spoke to her yesterday, and she is willing to change, go to therapy and fight for our relationship. However, the line needs to be drawn and respected. I spoke to her mother about the threats of self-harm, and she was shocked. My girlfriend and her mom are insistent that she didn't cheat on me. Part of me believes that, but I could never have imagined seeing her holding another man's hand. It seems like she and her mom are blaming me for breaking up, but I felt like I had no other option. I had no desire, however, I felt the need to take such action for my own benefit. The consideration arises that for my own good it does not matter what action I should have obstructed when it comes to her deciding to go to that man's residence. After all, who can foresee the uncertain developments? However, equally, I recognize that I made every possible effort in that situation to persuade her to return home. I remained of the opinion that she had chosen to betray me, and I was not about to allow that to happen. I concede that maybe I wasn't the perfect partner all along, and it's possible that I wasn't there for her when she didn't demand my presence. However, I say that I would never do what she did. I recognize the need to allow myself to say enough, regardless of how much love she may have for someone else. If this relationship is damaging my mental health, as it has recently, it is appropriate to end it. Right now, I find myself hurt and overwhelmed by guilt and regret, but I'll get through it. If it is necessary to intervene to stop my partner from cheating on me and damaging the relationship, then it is a clear sign that the responsibility does not lie with me. Of course, a relationship does not imply an obligation to keep the partner out of trouble, as the real responsibility always lies with the individual. One could argue that he should have intervened physically, but that could result in assault charges, especially if she, although intoxicated, did not want his intervention. He tried to persuade her to go home, but she chose not to. The responsibility for her situation is hers. It's better to deal with the fact that she did in fact cheat on me, get over the mental implications, and move on. It's not worth worrying if she acted unfaithfully. How she handled the disagreement is an indication of her attitude. For me, it's the limit. In fact, the infidelity is just one unpleasant aspect of the situation, albeit a relevant one, but she insists on blaming Opie, quite unfoundedly, with her mother's support. By ignoring this influence, a larger problem was avoided. Perhaps this experience teaches her that actions have consequences. Surely, you made the right decision. It may take time, but eventually you will feel pride in taking a stand and not allowing yourself to be treated inappropriately. Unfortunately, she is unlikely to accept this, as is often the case. Updating my partner, a 36-year-old male, and 34 females are interested in continuing to date her. Our story begins when we were together as a married couple. Our background takes us into a strict religious environment. During our dating period, she revealed something important about herself, her bisexual orientation. Although she has never explored this facet before, being monogamous, consented to her investigating it, as long as she was with women and maintained precautions. However, the years passed and we lived our monogamous life as a heterosexual couple. More recently, about 18 months ago, a landmark event took place in our lives. During a party at our house, I noticed that my wife was in our guest room with a friend named Kat, while our daughter was asleep in the hall. That moment generated in me a strong feeling of betrayal. This triggered several further conversations, in which she reminded me that I had consented to her exploration of sexuality, but also highlighted the precautions taken to avoid health problems. A year ago, after a trip to see old friends, my wife confessed to having an affair with a girl named Jess. Although she justified not telling because of our lack of friendship with Jess, I was upset as I thought she should have let me know sooner. Now my wife is planning a graduation trip and has invited Jess and Kat. I feel uncomfortable with the idea, but she doesn't share that discomfort. She believes my feelings are irrational and is excited about the trip. However, when I see the suitcase being prepared, I feel uneasy. No one in our social circle knows what happened, and I've been avoiding social interactions with Kat around. Faced with this complex situation, I am seeking guidance on how to best deal with it. If your goal is to maintain a monogamous relationship, chances are that this has no solution other than divorce. Consulting with a specialized divorce attorney may be appropriate to understand your options and pursue an amicable separation, especially considering your child's well-being. Certainly, Opie is not handling this situation well. To be fair, maybe they didn't have clear guidelines in place to protect the relationship in an open relationship arrangement. Often, successful open relationships have rules that prevent emotional connections from developing. Lack of communication about his wife's plans reveals limited concern for Opie's feelings. I particularly had the feeling that she adhered to the guidelines, while he started implementing rules in that context. I would much rather have my wife stay with a friend at our residence due to a meeting in an unknown location with a strange individual. Opie, for his part, disagreed entirely with these points. When the situation became real, I just didn't believe that this is a viable alternative, since this inevitably it will continue to upset you regardless of her approach. He just needs to express his inability to deal with it and indicate that the relationship should end or be redefined. It is essential to establish and respect boundaries, guaranteeing its application, or communicating to it his dissatisfaction with the situation, reaching the point of consider ending the marriage if she do not share this perspective. If there is no agreement, it is necessary to terminate the marital commitment. He continues to defend his convictions. He does not embrace polyamory and lacks understanding of what parameters and norms to establish, because it lacks the experience to discern this aspect. If she had respect for him, she might have sought clarification and educated both on the subject after the first incident. She can't cheat and then resort to the excuse that he wasn't specific enough. There has already been an agreement, and what she is doing is simply deceiving and follow your own desire without considering his feelings. Clearly, there is a deficiency on mutual understanding, and she does not strive to improve the situation, just invalidating the right and just feelings. So thank you for your early feedback. In the original post, I value the shared contributions and perspectives. At that time, I was a bit overwhelmed and I couldn't answer everyone. I apologize for that. It seems that most people understood that my expectations were not clear. I admit this is fair. Honestly, I didn't realize that would need to specify that she should not get involved in intimate relationships with people our daughter calls aunt. Perhaps I should have been more detailed, as clearly we had different views of how this would play out. However, hindsight is always clearer. I will be brief and courteous. No big reveals here for many of you who saw more clearly than I did. She was, in fact, planning this trip with these people to establish more connections with other people. On the sly, I spent the last few months organizing finances and taking special care to record times she neglected, or she put my son in dangerous situations, or anything that could be viewed negatively. It's not a pleasant situation, but I will probably get custody of my son, since she is not contesting. I allowed access to my savings account for her. Our shared credit card has been cancelled, and honestly I don't care what happens with our house, as long as I can be with my son. I understand that she may be entitled to some amount of money or something like that, but the money does not compare to the well-being of my son. She moved away and hasn't seen our son some weeks ago. She is determined to rediscover herself while she lives in an apartment with strangers, exploring different aspects and also using substances. I feel lucky to be able to work from home, allowing quiet mornings with my son, lunchtime, and a surprising excess of free time, of which I had no realized how much I was being consumed by my ex-wife. I feel good when I'm alone, after my son goes to sleep. I dedicate time to physical exercise and to strengthening the relationships I neglected, since she monopolized my schedule. I'll give myself a year or more to adjust myself and allow the dust to settle, and then decide if it's worth considering. the idea of getting romantically involved again. It is regrettable to learn of this event, but it is clear that she was not the person you believed her to be. It's irrational when people use your educational orientation as an excuse to end a relationship. Even worse is neglecting the children involved, if that means anything to you. I suspect that would have been the conclusion, whether you agreed or not, regarding his past relationships with women. So don't blame yourself, direct all that energy into creating a nurturing environment for your child. It would also be wise to consider seeking counseling, as your past relationship was traumatic and you would not want to repeat that misconception. Thanks for your kind words. I have some sessions scheduled with therapists next week, hoping one of them will be appropriate. I apologize, some women are indeed unfair partners. It's a hard lesson to learn. As for what to do if she tries to come back after exploring other options, know that chapter is closed, my dear. Be prepared for when she runs out of finances and reality starts to hit her. She will likely try to employ every possible strategy to manipulate you into taking her back. At this time, it is crucial to resist strongly and resolve divorce and custody issues quickly. I will never be able to understand how anyone could wake up and decide to act this way. I am sorry to hear about that man who, after his divorce, only focuses on co-parenting and nothing else. She will likely try to return when her other explorations are over. Don't let this situation be simplified when that time comes, trust me, it will be in a few months or years. Be prepared. Don't be subservient to the infidel and don't show sadness. The best revenge is to show yourself well, only then will she truly understand what she lost. And that's the end of today's video. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Until the next video.